Dragon's Dogma 2's release date is just a couple days away, so it's time for a pre-launch checklist video where I go over a variety of different topics. Let's start off with the release times, which were just recently announced. So DD2 digitally becomes available for consoles, so PS5 and Xbox Series X and S at midnight local time, March 22nd, which is Friday. That is your midnight time. So if you're in New Zealand, when midnight hits on the 22nd, that is when you get to play, and you do get to play earlier than pretty much everybody else in the world. There is, however, one exception here. As you can see, Los Angeles is actually releasing for consoles at 9 p.m. Pacific time. So they're lining up the exact moment in time with the East Coast United States. So West Coast folks, you guys do technically get to play on Thursday, March 21st, while the rest of the world, if you're working a normal job, you may have to play Friday after work. Although some of you guys will probably pull an all-nighter. Now, all my PC players out there, the game is available on Steam, and it will be launching at the same exact moment in time for everybody in the world. So no local midnight time. Surprisingly, some people write some funny comments when I do release times, and they don't really understand how this works. But everybody gets at the exact same moment in time, which equates to different release times locally. So for example, Los Angeles, Pacific Coast, United States, you guys will have access to the game on PC on Steam at 5 p.m. on March 21st, the day before the official release date. That's Thursday. Everybody to the left of this line right here gets it on the 21st for PC on Steam. New York, East Coast, 8 p.m. Eastern, which is the time that I'll be playing it. And then, of course, we have Brazil, Mexico City, Toronto. And everybody to the right of this red line gets a March 22nd release date. London at midnight. We have Paris at 1 in the morning. South Korea at 9 in the morning, and New Zealand at 1 in the afternoon. If you do end up pre-ordering the game, according to several news sources, you should be able to preload the game around 48 hours before your release time, which will be Wednesday for many players. Now, this game is estimated to be around 65 to 70 gigabytes in size, but that will vary depending on platform. But do note that most sources are reporting that a preload download will be available a couple days before the game actually releases. But should you pre-order the game? Generally speaking, I would say don't pre-order games, but Capcom is kind of, I think I would place them in the Larian Studios From Software category, where when they release a game, at the very least, it's going to be decent, I would say. But with that said, probably better not to pre-order in general, because too many companies do take advantage of this business model, and they don't actually come through with a quality product. Now, console players, I do want you guys to keep this in mind, that the game is reported to be 30 FPS uncapped. That doesn't mean you're going to be on 30 FPS for the entire game. It certainly can go higher. That's what the uncapped part of that means. But with modern consoles, even saying 30 FPS is a little bit, I understand people's frustration. So who knows how the game's actually going to run until we actually get reviews. So if you're a console player, you may want to hold off on your money. But also PC players, if you don't have a great PC, I think performance is something to still kind of be a little bit wary of, to see how it turns out for players that actually already bought the game. So just be aware. Now, since I already mentioned 30 FPS uncapped on console, PC players, one thing that you can do to make sure that your performance is the best that it can possibly be is to make sure that your GPU drivers are updated. You should do this for every game. A lot of you guys will already have this set on automatic, but some people might not. And this can actually make a huge difference if you don't have updated GPU drivers. Also, your Windows operating system. But if you guys are an NVIDIA user, if you look down here, if you find a way to get to your GeForce Experience app, you look right here. On the top, if I go to drivers, you can see that I have a GeForce Game Ready driver available right now. So I'm actually behind right now, and I need to make sure that I get that downloaded. When the game actually launches, make sure to check back on these things, because sometimes these graphics card companies will release updates on the day of big game launches to better suit those games. But if you do decide to pre-order the standard edition, which costs $69.99, you do get this set of weapons here that are going to be coated in a gold coating. Now, in this game, I actually like starting off with bad looking weapons, because the visual progression is something that I really value as my character grows and finds better loot. Seeing how cool that loot starts to look is actually the way that I'd rather play. So I don't even care about the gold weapons myself, but you will get access to these, and they're probably going to be slightly better than the starting weapons. So if that's something that matters to you, then by all means, you're going to want to pre-order the standard edition. Now, if you pre-order the deluxe edition, you also get the Ring of Assurance here. We don't exactly know what this ring is. There's been some theories out there. Obviously, we have probably 2 ring slots on our character, and this ring maybe allows you to, for example, if you take damage that would otherwise kill you, maybe it lets you survive one of those hits. Something along those lines. I don't think it's going to matter in the scope of the game, but if you do pre-order the Deluxe Edition, that is something that you get. Now, the Deluxe Edition is $10 more. It goes for $79.99. And whether you pre-order it or not, you get a bunch of extra items, as you can see on the screen right here. You get this Explorer's Camping Kit, which is like a slightly cooler version of the regular camping kit. You get Rift Crystals, 1500 Rift Crystals, and as someone who played DD1, 1500 Rift Crystals is not that much in the scope of the game, so don't worry about that too much. I think I ended DD1 with like 400,000 Rift Crystals or something like that. You get access to some music options where you can have the game give you some nostalgic music from the original game and sound effects and things like that. You also get a Wake Stone, which will allow you to resurrect yourself or allies or NPCs, but you will find those in game. The Art of Metamorphosis allows you to change your character's appearance. Should be a way to do that in the game. We have the Smoke Beacon for when you're fighting harpies. We have the Ambivalent Rift Incense, which will allow you to change your pawn's inclination, which I'm assuming you can also do in the game. The Heartfelt Pendant is like a gift you can give NPCs to increase your reputation. Should be plenty of gifts in the game. And also the Makeshift Jail Key, which will allow you to escape out of jail if you do something wrong and find yourself in a jail cell, but you will be able to make those in game. If the extra $10 is a big deal to you, I would say no, don't worry about doing this. Most of this stuff is in-game stuff. It's not going to change your game in any major noticeable way. The only item that I'm kind of curious about here is the Ring of Assurance, and I'm sure we'll find out exactly what that is in the near future. Moving on, for those of you that may be unaware, Capcom did release the Dragon's Dogma 2 Character Creator, which you can download for free. You don't have to have the game pre-ordered or anything like that from your platform's store, and I'll also leave a link down below. Now, the reason why this is so great is because the character creator in this game is fantastic. There's so many things that you can mess with. It's one of the best character creators that I've actually, I think, ever seen in an open world RPG. And because of how good this character creator is, some of you guys might play the game on release day not having messed with this, and you might find yourself spending your entire night in the character creator. But you have access to it right now to mess with everything and try to make your characters as best as you can. You get to customize your Arisen and also your main pawn. And both your Arisen and your main pawn will carry over to the game when you actually purchase it and play it. If you want to hire my pawn in your own game, you can friend request me at WolfheartFPS on Steam. And also consider joining the Discord server. I'll leave a link down below where I have a section dedicated to Dragon's Dogma 2 and also a little chat within that section where you can share friend codes with other members of this community. I hope more studios do this in the future, because this is really cool, and it's probably really good for marketing too, because you're investing all these players into your character creator, and therefore they feel like they got to play the game after that. But regardless, amazing character creator. Make sure to check it out. If you need some help choosing your starting vocation for your Arisen and your main pawn, I did do an entire video dedicated to this. I'll leave a link down below. This will also help you understand some of the more advanced and hybrid vocations, even though Capcom's not using that language anymore. All right, we've gone over quite a lot, but there's a few things that I wanted to mention in this video, things to just keep in mind before you start your DD2 adventure, and also as you start your DD2 adventure. Some insight from a player who played Dragon's Dogma 1. So DD2 is not a game that is going to hold your hand with everything. So it's important to take your time in the beginning, mess with the mechanics, read the tutorials, and really try to understand everything that's going on. And doing this will likely go a long way for you on your first run for sure. Now, also in this regards, keep your ears open as you play. If you find yourself getting lost or unable to figure out what to do on a quest, many times if you just listen to your 3 pawns should be at your side, they will be giving you clues and insight, sometimes even giving you the exact answer that you're looking for. If you're used to playing games that give you the yellow brick road all the time, you may not come into this game with the mindset of really paying attention to things. And because of that, it might hit you like a brick wall, and that's totally understandable. In my opinion, though, games that can minimize hand-holding while also offering sufficient enough cues and dialogue, etc. in the game are far more immersive than games that tell you exactly what you need to do in every situation with the golden quest markers, etc. Those are games where you can actually turn off your brain as you play. In DD2, you certainly don't have to be a genius or even be smart to play it, but it will require that you engage with the world a bit more than, let's say, an open world Ubisoft game, for example. Now, also in similar regards, DD1 was a fantastic game. But honestly, it took me until my second full run to fully appreciate it, and I also hear many others say that as well. One really cool thing about DD1 is that endgame, meaning after you beat the core main story, I guess I could say, the game becomes almost an entirely new game. We don't know what endgame will be like for DD2, but Capcom is definitely planning something here for sure. I don't want to spoil endgame of DD1 that much, so I'll speak vaguely because it could end up being similar for DD2. But speaking vaguely, DD1, after you beat the main story, it almost turns into like a dungeon crawler game for one major part of the end game. There's even really cool online mechanics where players work together to kill certain creatures, but this is not in straight up multiplayer. More so, players try to do their own part in their own game, which in turn affects other players' games. And this was super cool to discover, and it really kept the game feeling fresh, as once you reach endgame, maybe you're already getting sick of just the general loop of the game. They completely change it up on you, and it just gets so exciting to mess with whatever endgame mechanics become available. Also, keep in mind that endgame DD1 is when the biggest, baddest monsters of them all start showing up in the game. And also, a lot of the choices that you made in your game will start really revealing themselves endgame. It's actually crazy in DD1, but a lot of players don't necessarily always get to endgame, and they don't see the consequences of all their decisions. And even if you do another run, you might actually see consequences of your decisions from your first run in your second run. Really cool. So thank you all so much for watching. I am so excited for Dragon's Dogma 2 right now, almost reaching hype levels of Baldur's Gate 3's launch, and I will be covering it on this channel with plenty of videos and also live streams right here on this YouTube channel. Also, excuse me, oh man, what am I saying? And on Twitch at WolfheartFPS. I multi-stream to both of those platforms. Hope to see you guys in some of those streams and on some of the future videos. I'm starting to really lose what I'm supposed to be saying right now. Peace.